Hello everybody, thanks and welcome back. Over the last few weeks, I've been having some very interesting but also very profound questions with a number of clients and friends, if I'm honest, around long-term goals, and productivity and perseverance. Now, it's tax season in India, so there are a number of people that are realizing perhaps they should have saved more, should have made some choices that reduced their tax bills. But these conversations opened up to some much broader topics, and I'm going to address some of these today. Mostly the topics on the finance side of things were about long-term dreams or goals that they had. But also there were conversations that bubbled up to the top around how do I create happier, more productive teams that achieve goals more regularly and more quickly and are generally happier at work. And also, on a related note, when things are difficult, and this is often the case when entrepreneurs are going through fundraising rounds, they hear no so many times, it can be demoralizing. How can you get more grit? How can you persist through those difficult times? And so as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I thought I would take a different tactic rather than talking about specifically what the business can do. I thought I would talk about some useful strategies that we as individuals and perhaps as organizations can use to generally just be more awesome people. So the first was around the topic of goal setting in finance and planning. How do I make sure that my tax bills are small today, but how do I save for that goal sometime in the future? And there's some really interesting literature on the topic, but these ones were most fascinating to me. We know that willpower is a thing that many of us struggle with. It's why we don't often achieve our diet goals. We don't stick to our exercise targets or our savings plans. So one of the most compelling emotions to me anyway was to cultivate a strong sense of compassion for others. Now, compassion has had a very interesting outcome in an experiment. There was an experiment done by a professor in the US at a university called Northwest by the name of Hal Hirschfeld, who about over 15 years ago, when artificial intelligence was still in its infancy and when AR and visual technologies were still kind of early, what he did was he ran an experiment where he showed a picture of me, and then he would show me a picture of an aged version of myself. It was 20 years in the future. And what he did was he ran an experiment where he would make me make some decisions that would either benefit me now, so I'd be able to consume a certain thing or have some more pleasure today. And what would happen is every time I would make such a decision that would benefit me in the present, this older version of myself would look a little sadder, a little bit maybe more haggard. It would obviously look like it was hurting my future self to make this decision. And what was very interesting about that was the consequence of making me feel compassion for my future self doubled my savings rate. So having compassion in general makes us make decisions that benefit the future, that are long-term in nature rather than short-term. So compassion can be a super powerful tool. The second point around productivity was even more fascinating to me. This was, again, to use another emotion, gratitude. When we are grateful for what someone else did for us, and it can be the smallest thing, somebody brought me a coffee, somebody held the door open for me today. It can be something incredibly small like that. But we're a social species. We pay it forward most of the time. When someone does something nice for us, we do something nice in turn for them or for someone else. We've all heard the concepts of pay it forward. We know that a smile is infectious. We're a social species. So in this case, there's a practical application. If you've got a team that is maybe a bit stressed out, maybe not hitting its deliverables on time, or just in general, maybe not getting along as well as they wish they were. I mean, we don't want to spend half our lives when we're at work being frustrated with our peers. There's an interesting link, an image that I've made above. It's called a reciprocity ring. So this is a specific deliverable or a specific tool that a team can use. It's effectively cost-free. You can use a whiteboard or sticky notes to do it. A reciprocity ring is simple. You ask everybody on the team to write one thing on the board that they need help with and put their name beside it. Then the team leader would ask everybody to identify something on that board that they can help with. And they would write their name on the board and they would draw a little line next to their name saying that they can help with that thing. Now, by the time it's all done, it's going to look like a big net. But this reciprocity ring can do something incredibly exciting for most teams. It can create this wonderful virtuous circle of reciprocity. It's been used by a large bank in India to improve credit card sales by over 120%. There are a number of other applications around the world of this thing happening. But the long and short of it is we are wired to help each other. We're wired to return favors given to us. So gratitude can be an incredibly powerful emotion to improve productivity, morale, and therefore improve employee experience. Now, the third one's a little bit more controversial. It's pride. Now, pride can help us persist through problems. In fact, rewarding salespeople for the hard work that they're doing has been proven to make them more resilient and to improve their sales. It makes them feel better when the boss compliments the hard work that they're doing, specifically with salespeople. Now, to explain this in a little bit more depth, here's how it works. Pride actually has an evolutionary function. So when we in a small tribe would begin to specialize, and that specialization was valuable to the tribe, it became a thing that the other members of the tribe would compliment or praise us for. And that the act of that praise made us double our efforts because we realized, wow, this is going to make me more valuable to the people that are around me. Let me work a little harder at this. You'd see this as farmers who were, going to plant more cropland, blacksmiths who were going to learn how to specialize even further and make a better arrowhead, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in the modern context, it works exactly the same. When we learn a thing and we're praised for our effort, it's an intrinsic motivator. We find our own way of pushing through. No money necessary. In fact, if you put money in it, we would stop doing it. But taking pride in your work is a tried, tested, and true mechanism to encourage us to persist through difficult challenges. So pride is important. Now, the expression "pride cometh before the fall" is important as a caution with this particular emotion. We can cultivate pride every day by writing in our journal. We know that writing makes us experience emotions, and we want to experience the emotion of pride, so writing it down will be very helpful. But the caution is this: don't let the pride you take in a specific thing you specialize in spread to the rest of your life. That's why you'll fall. But all the same, compassion, gratitude, and pride will be among the most powerful emotions that can be used to encourage us to take decisions that benefit the future over the present. Hope this has been useful. A little bit of advice that wasn't so business focused today, but all the same, I hope it was useful.